Yo, what's up, guys? Today we're doing something a little new, a little different. Today I'm going to be going over my top 10 favorite commanders from 2022. The year just ended. We're in a new year, new Magic content coming out. But I kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there on my top 10 Magic commanders that came out across all the different sets, all the different commander decks, everything. I have this little list I'm going to be going through. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you guys to go down and hit the red subscribe button, hit the bell notification button down below to know when my videos go live. Like the video, comment. Let me know if you like this kind of content, if you want to see more of it, if you want to see me cover other things like top 10 games, top 10 Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that. But yeah, let's get right into it, guys. All right, guys. To start at number 10, we have Shorekai Genesis Engine from Neon Genesis Kamagawa. We're gonna go through some pros and some cons of each of the cards. To start with this one, he is a card draw and advantage vehicle. Um, Being able to tap for two or tap and tap two to basically draw a card, and he also creates these vehicle token or not vehicle pilot tokens. He's just really good, especially in blue and white. He makes vehicles like viable in Commander. It's finally like we have a commander besides the base commander of the deck, which is Kotori Pilot Prodigy, I think. Besides her, he makes um vehicles very viable in Commander. It's very new to be able to I have the deck. I'm actually gonna do a video on it. Very fun. Um, he those bodies that he creates on his ability also help crew other vehicles that you would be running in the deck. So it's like they kind of go hand in hand. He's also the first vehicle to be able to be a commander, which is very nice. But with all those pros, there's some cons. Not a lot. One of his biggest cons is that he has a very high a crew cost of 8, super high. But with those pilots, you'll be able to you're not really going to be using him to crew. He's not like a you're not going to be swinging with him. You're using him for his other ability to draw cards, and then using stuff like I think his Voltaic Key to untap him, to tap him again. Like you're just using it for that. But even with Shorekai, the other con is that vehicles are still not that strong, even with him. They're still not at where people would like to see them. People like me, I like vehicles. The vehicles are so cool. Um, but they're just not there, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, that's the number 10 slot. Let's move on to number 9. All right, guys. Number 9 is Joda the Unifier. He came out in can't remember the set he came out in. He came out earlier in the year, around the time that the 5-color commander deck and the actually give me one second. All right, so it came out in uh, Dominator United is when he came out. He's a 5-color commander. Um, he's just legendary good stuff. We're gonna go over the pros. He's probably the strongest 5-color commander since Golos came out. Golos long since banned in Commander, but he's probably one of the strongest 5-color commanders out there, if not the strongest. Um, he has an unbelievably strong ability, and basically he's got legendary Cascade. You cast him, and then anything legendary that you cast after, you exile the top cards of your library until you hit something with a lower mana cost, and you get to play it for free. It only happens on cast, so it's not like that card will get you, um, basically, will get you um, another thing. But like with cards like Voltaic Key, stuff that low mana legendary artifacts that can get you into things like your Mox Ambers and stuff. He's very, very strong. It's just an unbelievably powerful ability, and that's just one of his abilities. He has he has the ability to buff all other legendary creatures that come into the battlefield. Um, by how many legendary creatures are on the battlefield. So he's a 5/5 for 5, but he comes in as a 6/6. So he's a 6/6 for 5 mana. 5 of that mana is, one of each color, but that's not really a detriment anymore with all the ramp and things that you can get going in your deck to grab your basic lands that you're missing. He can snowball very quickly if he's not dealt with. But he does have some cons. In my opinion, he's a little too oppressive. Um, Seeing him in things like Arena, which gets into the other con, he's lower on the list because I don't like playing against him in Arena. There's just something about him. He just, no matter how perfect the hand is, like, it, unless you're just teaming with removal, like spot removal, mass removal, he just is not going away. Like, you're not going to be able to get rid of him quick enough. He's going to cascade, and then he's going to just snowball the field into, like, just a forfeit, like, fiesta, man. Um, he, another con is that he dies easily because he has no protection, but that's not really an issue because, like, at least in Arena, like, unless you're running just a removal deck, like, you're not going to have a lot of spot removal in your deck. So he's at the number 9 slot mainly because I don't like him. He could easily be higher if I liked him, but he's no, no. All right, onto the number 8 slot. We are rocking with Ginny Faye Jetmir's second. She's from Streets of New Capenna. She's uh what, white, green, red, I believe. Yes, white, green, red. Um, some pros. She's a great token generator. Um, and it's amazing that she's in the colors that are best for tokens, white and green. Um, she has a split cost, which is amazing. It's a red green, a green, and then a green white. So you can just cast her for 3 green, or like it really helps that she's got that split cost because you can just get her out no matter what your mana situation is in those colors. And then she's very fast paced. She works in Ren and Seri, or vice versa. You can put Ren and Seri in the deck because she's creating cats. And cats in Ren and Seri are a good thing because you gain life. Some cons though, she's easy to remove. She has no protection whatsoever. Um, which that's going to be a theme in a lot of these commanders. Uh, Another con, tokens can be kind of boring. Especially when you're in green, white, and red. You have other options, which are like Ren and Seri, or if you just want to play white and green, you can play stuff like Amara or whatever her name is. One of the early elf token generating decks. So she's she's good, but like there are better options. So she's hitting that number 8 slot. We're gonna move on to number 7 now, though. All right, guys. So number 7, we have Captain Nagathrod. Yes, from Baldur's Gate. He is a blue-black horror. Um, some pros: he's in a precon, which that precon also gives you a very good base for a great blue-black mill deck. I bought it when it came out, played it a few times. It is very good. You could easily upgrade, change the commander to something else, or you could leave it as we're just gonna call him Captain N because I don't want to pronounce his name over and over again. Captain N is a very good mill commander. He's up there with things like what's his name? Um, the god from the original Theros set. I can't remember his name is. Um, but he's also very cool in his aesthetic for a commander. He is a pirate, kind of similar to like Davy Jones from Captain or Pirates of the Caribbean. He's also got like that Lovecraftian horror kind of vibe. Very cool, especially in a horrors deck where you're gonna have a lot of those. He's got a very, very fat ass. He is 3/6 for 5 mana, I believe. So like having that 6, you can just keep you can attack and people are gonna be like, do I want to lose my creature? or because like odds are they're probably not going to kill him unless they have something absolutely ginormous on the field. So like blocking is just kind of like a non sequitur unless you're playing tokens. Um, and Mill is very strong in a horror blue black deck. Blue and black are two of the best colors for Mill, as well as horrors are very prominent in the Mill game, which gets us to our cons. Mill is very frowned upon by most players. People do not like seeing their library emptied into the graveyard constantly, especially in blue and black, where you also have the option to exile said graveyard later on. So there's no graveyard recursion for those players. So it kind of hurts those graveyard players as well, because they're like, "Oh, cool, you're gonna mill me. I'm gonna get all this stuff into the graveyard that can recur, and then you're gonna throw something down like a Bajuka Bog, or there's a mono black creature that comes in the precon that just exiles graveyard, like the graveyard when it hits the field. And then the other con is that he's 5 mana, which is quite a lot to spend on a commander that doesn't really have a ETB effect or like an immediate um like positive to him, unless you already have horrors on the field, but you most likely could have some very low power horrors that you could then get the benefit from because he doesn't have haste. But that's why he's sitting at the number 7 slot. His two cons are very much outweigh the pros, in my opinion. Like Mill is just so unfun to play against for a lot of people, so he is at the number 7 slot. All right, guys, for number 6, we have something that I actually built in Arena. I think I did a video on it. Pretty sure I did a video on it. If not, I'll put a video out on it. It is Goshen Tai of Life's Origin from Neon Genesis Kamagawa. He is the new 5-color Shrine Commander, but he's in green. Like, his main cost is 3 and a green. He gets his 5-color identity from his first ability, which is by far and away the best ability he could have. He has enchantment recursion. For 1 color, or for 1 mana of each color, you can grab an enchantment from your grave and put it onto the battlefield. That includes what are they called? Uh Sagas can come in, get their ETB abilities on turn 1. You can get things like Open the Graves. I think that's the name of the enchantment. Just like some very strong enchantments. He also creates tokens to fuel himself. So if you didn't know, Goshen Tai, whenever a shrine enters the battlefield, he creates a 1/1 shrine for each shrine you already control. So when you cast him, you get a shrine, right? Then you cast another shrine, you get 2 shrines. 2 or 3? I think it'd be 2. 2 shrines. And then you just snowball into shrines after that. Especially with his ability to recur shrines from the graveyard because they are enchantments. If somebody removes one of your shrines that's doing something they don't like, you can just get it back. And then you just create more tokens for blocking. But he does have a few cons. Shrines are very slow. That is the main con. I think that shrines are very slow because a lot of them get their abilities on your upkeep. So unless you have some way to get them out at instant speed, like i.e. like Vidalk and Orrery being able to cast them on your opponent's end step so you can get their upkeep ability, they're not very fast paced, especially in a 5-color deck where you want it to be a little bit more fast paced. And then the other con is I've been seeing a lot more enchant removal played more commonly among arena and then friend group with casual play and stuff like that. People are running more cards that remove enchantments because enchantments have gotten very strong over the last, like, I'd say 2 or 3 years. With the introduction of sagas, um, enchantments have become very mainstay in deck. A lot of these sagas are very strong. They started out a little bit weaker, but they've definitely gotten much stronger, which has made people run more enchantment removal. So that's the two cons for Goshen Tai of Life's Origin, and that is why it is at number 6. Alright, guys, for number 5, we have Mishra, Eminent One from Brothers War. He is one of the precons, so very easy to get. I think it's around 40 bucks. He's not that expensive, or the deck's not that expensive. Um, the pros for the deck are he has a very good artifact copying ability. What he does is he takes a non-token artifact and creates a creates a copy of it that is a 4/4 uh token called Mishra's War Form, I believe. Um, but it keeps all of its abilities. But the downside is that you have to sack it at your end step. Which in red, black, and blue, there are ways to get around the end step. There are cards that you can get put into the deck that let you skip your end step. Um, Basically forcing you to end your turn, which skips the cumulative community. Like it helps you skip the end steps cost. Um, he's in the best colors for artifacts. Hands in a way. Blue, black, and red are amazing for artifacts. He also has a sack trigger. His end step sacking ability can help you sack things. If you have creatures that have sack abilities, which you're in black, you're going to have creatures that have sack ability. You can also sack them yourself at the end step with things like Ashnod's Altar or cards that say sack a creature, draw a card as an additional cost. So it fuels that kind of like sacky nature as well. And then his ability to be able to copy mana rocks and other utility artifacts is just it's invaluable being able to do those things. Being able to copy things like uh mirror like what is it? The I can't remember what it's called. It's a mirror that basically is just another way to copy your artifacts. So you can copy it. So you can use Mishra, create a 4/4 version of your mirror, copy the mirror with the mirror, and then like you would just have mirrors that you can copy other stuff with, and those other mirrors are not going away. It's brutal. Um, but the cons of the deck, artifact spam decks are very disliked. Similar to the mill deck, people do not like playing against artifact decks. It's just a fact. They teeter on uh playing stacks, so people are not a fan of it, especially in the casual community. If you have friends that play higher level commander, like CEDH and stuff like that, you could easily take Mishra Eminent One and edit it and make it a very competitive deck. And then there are just better commanders for artifact spamming, like running something like Brutaclad, which he is in the deck as well, but running just straight Brutaclad or just playing Urza, Lord High Artificer. He's just a better artifact commander. You're losing 2 colors, but if you're playing artifacts, you don't really care about the colors. So he's at the number 5 slot, mainly because there's just better options to play. He is very affordable though, with him being in a precon, but that is why he's at number 5. All right, guys. For number 4, we have a card that I recently just made the commander of my angel deck. It is Joda, Font of Hope from Streets of New Capenna. She is a mono white angel that is, in my opinion, has become the de facto angel for like angel decks, like the de facto commander. She's a mana dork for angel. She taps for 1 white when casting a angel spell. She's very low mana for a very high reward card. She's 2 mana for a 2/2 with flying and vigilance, 2 of the best keywords in white. Um, and not only that, she buffs angels when they come into the battlefield. They get +1/+1 counters equal to the number of angels that are already on the battlefield. So, like, she's just by far and away a very good commander. Uh, Not to mention, like, having an angel commander that doesn't cost 5 mana is amazing. But then we're getting to the cons. She's kind of wimpy. 2/2 flyer isn't the best. Um, she easily gets chump blocked by Ornithopter, which is free. So she's not the best. Um, I'd like to have seen her be like a 3/3 for 2, but, you know, what can you do? And then angels are still expensive in white with no cards like, uh, what is it? Land tax, running like sad robots and furnished hearts and stuff like that. It's not viable uh for a lot of people. Furnished heart is very slow. It costs 3 mana just to sack it to search for the lands. And then sad robot is a 4 mana artifact creature, so you have to be on turn 4 before you can even cast them unless you got that prima donna. Turn 1 soul ring, turn 2 arcane signet. Um and then just like land text is just a very expensive card. The copy I have is one of the original, I think it's the original copy, and it's $70. The reprint is still like I think 30 or 40. So it's not valuable for a lot of people to spend money like that on commander cards. Obviously you could always print your own. I don't judge. I have my own little bits of printed cards that I've gotten from sites and stuff like that, just because it just wasn't in the cards to spend that kind of money on a card like that. But yeah, she's the de facto angel commander, and I really like her. Can't wait to try her. I just got her today, actually, while recording this video. Came in the mail. She is now the head of my mono white angel deck. So she is number 4. I can't really say anything else about her. She's amazing. All right, guys, we're in that top 3 area of the video. We're at number 3. For a lot of people, this is probably their number 1. This card is very, very strong, and a lot of people have been like building around it since it came out. Some people have been asking for it to be banned. It is Miriam Sentinel Worm from Baldur's Gate. It is a 3-color dragon, 6 mana for a 6/6, in red, green, and blue, which happen to be the 3 best colors for dragons. It's a very strong dragon commander. It creates tokens of the strongest dragons in the game. Like it says, whenever a non-token dragon enters the battlefield, create a token of it. Um, create a token of it that is not legendary. So you can create non-legendary versions of things like Copper Dragon, the what is it? Can't remember what it's called. Like some of the Dragon Lords. You can create or you can create token copies of Utvara Hellkite and get those double triggers to get a bunch of 4/4s. Creates 4/4s, right? And then like Savage Vent Maw, which gets you more mana whenever it attacks. Like just absolutely abysmally strong. Like this card is absolutely a tank. It has built-in protection with Ward 2, so it's hard to get rid of as well. Um, I've already said it's in the best colors for dragons, which are red, green, and blue. But it does have its cons. Like most Magic cards has its cons. It's a tad expensive. 5 mana would have been better than 6 for a 6/6. I think 5 mana would have made this card just by far and away the best dragon commander for those colors. Um, it's probably still considered that, but it's still expensive, even in a creature centric deck where you can run things like Herald's Horn, Urza's Incubator, and stuff like that. Like, you're still not getting this out early enough for like to keep up with some of the more competitive decks. Um, and I also think, and this is wishful thinking, um, this by far and away would make it way too strong. But I would have liked to have seen a head haste. It's in red. It's got Ward 2, which is its blue. It's got flying, which is just something all dragons have. But like having haste and being able to attack the turn it comes in would just been amazing. Being able to just like come in, swing with a 6/6. Hmm. East Day Resistance, if you ask me. But that is our number 3 slot. A lot of people have it at their number 1, but for me, it's number 3. All right, guys, we're at that number 2 slot. This is actually probably one of the newest cards that came out. Came out at the ass end of the year. It is Ash Coat of the Shadow Swarm. from Jumpstart 2022. It is a mono black rat commander. Um, it's so far, by far, probably one of the better rat commanders to come out. Besides the one that's coming out this year. I won't spoil it. If people like to keep unspoiled on cards that get spoiled regularly through leakers, Magic's own website, stuff like that. But we'll go into the pros. Rats are cool. I love rats. I think the rat deck is probably one of the most unique ideas for a deck. Being like just being able to run in Commander a 1 of format, being able to run as many rat colonies as you want. I love it. It buffs your rats equal to your rats. Whenever it attacks or blocks, all of your rats, I think including him, get plus X equal to the amount of rats you have. So just he facilitates a rat deck. It's amazing. The swarm is here. And then he mills your deck at the end of your turn for 2 cards, and then you get to add all those whatever cards get milled to your hand if they're a rat, which you're probably running upwards of 15 to 16 rat colonies slash whatever the other rat card was. I can't remember what it's called. The one that you can have as many as you want in your deck. But being able to add those to your hand at your end step is amazing. You're also in black, so if you get something that you can't add to your hand, if it's not a rat or whatever, you can just recur it. You're in black. Who cares? For the cons, he is in hard contention with Maronar. Maronar is still like one of the strongest rat commanders to ever grace Magic the Gathering. Um, it could be argued that you could play both. Um, or you could play one or the other. Doesn't matter. They're both very good. Um, but personally, I still lean a little bit more towards Maronar, just because it's seen me through some hard times. It's a very good commander. And then I also think that it should have been a 4/4 instead of a 3/4. It should have been evened out to 4/4, seeing as they were casting it for 4. I think the whole 3/4 or like having your mana value equal to toughness is never a good idea. I think that it should either be even or your toughness should be bigger than your mana value. Just in a world where people are running you need to be able to block with your commander and stuff like that to protect yourself while also not having your commander die and having to pay that commander tax. So that's where he sits. He sits at number 2. I really like him, but he's also very expensive. He's like 40 to $70, something like that, because the way Jumpstart works is that you open a pack, you get a random um like theme, and he's only in the rat theme. So like most of the cards, they're only in one set of things. So he is very expensive, but he is my number 2. And now we're going to move on to number 1. All right, guys. For my number 1, we are going with by far and the way my one of my favorite releases that Magic has done. I know a lot of people don't like the um, Universes Beyond stuff, but I am a Magic player. I am a 40K player. I play so many things, and having 4 commander decks, I've showcased them on the channel. I will put a link in the description, or I'll put an annotated thing to the playlist that they are on right here. Um, but the 40K commander decks were by far and away my favorite release of the year. But Gearson Starn Kellermorph is probably my favorite of the commanders to have come out. There's just something about spell sling decks that just scratch that primitive part of my brain. Um, but we'll get into the pros of him. He has built-in protection. Gotta love Ward. He's got Ward too. So he has that built-in protection. If somebody wants to get rid of him, they're gonna have to pay an extra 2 mana, which for a lot of people they can't. Like he'll have already done his damage by the point that he would be getting removed. He's in the best colors for spell slinging as well. He's in blue and red. He's 2 or 1 blue and red or 2 blue and red. I can't remember. But he's very good for spell slinging. He can be utilized in token creating strategies as well, with impact tremors and warstorm surge. Being in red, you can run him with goblins, dealing the 1 damage with tremors or warstorm surge to deal their power and toughness with War Storm Surge. They come in as one on ones, or with Impact Tremors whenever a creature enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to target player or target permanent. Might be both. And then just dealing an extra 2 with Gearson on the field. Like, it's just really good. And his ability also hits permanents and players. Like, he's not just a player pinger. He can hit creatures and all that, planeswalkers. It's just permanents. So being able to like drop a dude, be able to deal like with impact armor, deal 1 damage to like a planeswalker, and then deal the additional 2 to get rid of the rest of its loyalty counters. Just bop a planeswalker with just a creature entering the battlefield is amazing. But he does have his cons. He's a small guy. I think he's a 2-3 or 1-1-3 or 1-2. Some like it's he's very small. So, but you're not going to really be attacked with him, so it's not that much of a con. But I would have liked to have seen him be a little bit bigger. Um, Another con is that he doesn't fit with the Magic aesthetic. A lot of people don't like Universes Beyond because it doesn't fit Magic's aesthetic. Because it's its own universe. Which we are seeing Magic release the Street Fighter cards as their own art in Magic's lore as well, with unique serial numbers where it makes it so you can't run them both at the same time. They're identically the same card, just with a different name and different different ability layout instead of having like the named abilities like the 40k and Street Fighter ones had, like their signature moves and stuff. So we might later on down the line see the 40k cards get integrated into Magic's lore as different things. But another con is that they are locked behind the 40k decks unless you want to pay for the single, which I do recommend because a lot of the common versions of the cards, not the foil, the surge foil, are actually relatively cheap. They're not super expensive. Gearson might be up there. I haven't looked at his price, but they are slightly expensive. Um, Unless you want to spend the $60 to $80, depending on what commander deck you wanted. I think the Tyranid one is probably the lowest one. So you could. I think he's in the Tyranid deck. I don't remember. I don't remember what deck he's in. He might be in Tyranids. He's either in Tyranids or he's in. I think he's in Tyranids. Tyranids one is the cheapest one, so it would still probably be around $60 to $70 for the commander deck if you wanted to buy the whole thing. But he is my number one because he is my favorite card that released in the 40k commander decks, which is also happens to be my favorite release of the year. But we'll go into my closing thoughts right now. All right, guys. So that was my first top 10 video that is on the channel. You guys will have to let me know in the comments if you liked it. This is just kind of like a experiment for me. I do want to make more, but this is an experiment for my editing. I want to get better at editing, so I'm using this kind of content like form to try and edit. I got a little bit of a taste of it with the short that is coming out Saturday, which should be the day after this video goes out, which should be Friday. Um, so I'm getting a little bit of a taste for it, and I want to get better at it to better my content on the channel. But yeah, that is the video. If you guys liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button down below to know when my videos go live, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.